needs AstroTurf replaced, and I told him about it in his backyard because it's just, he's got 2 dogs, and it would be, he loves, he's someone that his parents are together, he's gay, he has experienced loss through his partner died recently, about a year ago, and he has, he's overall a really sweet person. He sees that I am too, the pain that I'm enduring, and I've been with him on Thanksgiving, and we met in August and known him all until September. He's where I went when the safety was threatened.
Here's what I learned from this one, or just kind of remember really well, try not to forget. I may have been Allison's good friend at the high school newspaper team, and we might have been good buddies as young college grads working our first jobs in Raleigh, but a lot of years had gone by. I think she was really only interested in the novelty in what had gone wrong. See, even though I was pretty much on par with her socially and, career track oriented back in the day, I have fallen so low to her, she can't fathom a reasonable way. The whole concept of coming across the country for COVID, for promotion 2 weeks before the shutdown, the COVID economy itself, juggling me through a myriad of jobs and job changes that I never really felt like I had a role in, making the decision of. Allison just really cannot see, no matter how hard I tried to convince her to do the right thing, to help another person who helped me in a way that was very inexpensive and would make a huge difference. For Allison, this is not something she will recognize. And I remember a situation when my brother in high school had a friend who was, I would say, destitute, maybe being neglected and just doing some things that we didn't find very orthodox, but it was kind of like, well, this is how he's getting by. Maybe it would be like water not at his house, which turned out to be the situation with my dad in 2023. That had nothing to do with my performance as a person, an adult, or being, I was coming to him for help. He decided to leave me in a home with no water. Therefore, I left to find better conditions back in Denver eventually. But for Allison, she's never been able to relate. She has no ability to relate to anything that I have remotely gone through since you last saw me when I became bipolar in 2012. There's nothing that I can do in this relationship to change Allison's mind except write a book. Bet you can imagine, for me, Allison represented that time of high school and the possibility of what could happen after college when we're young professionals, and I really did long to return to that sort of sense of newness, energy, and then with her new kids, it's just like, she's kind of that young mom with that generation growing that's a lot of change and different for me. I had hoped that Allison would be able to help primarily through just kind of raising awareness, telling other people that we know from West Forsyth High School, and maybe helping, with her PR skills, maybe, just an overall GoFundMe tips, or just be an ally there without having to do a whole lot. I did just ask her for AstroTurf, just a small piece of it to help someone else. She was unable. You have to remember, Allison is just in a different place in life. It's really unusually awkward that she is in Ballantyne, the same area of Charlotte I was living and trying to work in right after graduation from college during the Great Recession. It was just kind of like, if I was to move to Charlotte with a new husband and a different, set of circumstances, she'd probably go to lunch with me. But now that I'm homeless, it's just too much for her to wrap around rationally. I must be crazy. It must be my fault. She doesn't know anybody else that was so successful and now is homeless and striving to survive. It doesn't make sense to her. Allison doesn't really have the bandwidth to even understand that when she was getting married or engaged, married, and having kids, I was watching my father in the hospital recover from heart attacks and heart surgery, running his online art campaigns and a political campaign, being made homeless, and also being, trusted to do those things for him and run his business so that I could get promoted and go in faith to go to Colorado, never knowing there would be a pandemic. None of that will ever make sense to Allison because too much time has went by over a decade. Her life has been going in one direction and mine has been going the other. She also is a gay and hasn't been homeless before. Her likelihood of actually understanding anything or coming on board is very slim. That being said, she could be vital. Any help I can get, any new help, any new connections is extremely important, even if it's an old connection becoming new. And again, Allison can be a game changer in a way if it's possible. So I must try. Here's exactly why I believe that's so important, why I try with Allison some more. One, I can never rebuild that equity of the 2-3 years we had in high school together while I'm homeless with someone else similar to Allison. Allison is important to me. I do miss her personally. I really, really do. Second of all, she is exactly the demographic of the university I graduated from. They're not able to understand. In fact, nobody really was able to give me a human connection. Decisions were just being made. I think it was assumed I was there to cause some sort of January 6th type 2 sort of protest when I was absolutely always against the event. The only person who really got it, that I was there for a true need of Samaritan help, was the student health center's doctor who saw me on the Samaritan Act. She was the only one on campus. The student receptionist at the health center was like, "You need to get away from here. You're too old." I was calm, sober, polite, ready for help, receiving some first aid. People like Allison are the people that have to hear that story, and it has to resonate with them for my long-term plans and growth and just security at large for the rest of my life. I've got to be able to continue to cooperate, communicate, and collaborate with people like Allison. So I'm going to. Since this may be the only time I may ever have Allison's attention again, while it counts before I die of chronic homelessness, Allison, one thing that is essential for me in multiple ways for just life support, somewhere warm to go 24/7 is a co-working office space. I can get my mail there. That eliminates trips down to the homeless shelter where it's dangerous and there's problems getting mail. This would allow me to have a creative space, a quiet place, a place alone to think, to write, to do some business consulting, do a number of things that I need for my mental health and clarity, and to grow while I also am working and saving up for a place to live. This place is a lot less expensive than a whole room to rent with a security deposit and everything. It's a stepping stone and something I need, like a gym membership to a recreation center. Those are two things that would be huge positive, that would change my day-to-day and help me out in a lot. This exact same message is also for Amanda Leanberg. We were on the newspaper staff together too. You guys have to kind of remember, when I am in the homeless shelter, I have to be tough among 70% of its population, which are convicts. And then I also have to be able, as much as I can, to have moments like this. I was in the apartment of a condo, rather, of an 85-year-old man. Then I stayed there the night, and I decided, it's time for me to start making sweet tea again. I need to make it for people I love, which is the people that saved me. With that in mind, I can't explain how bad I just wanted to go home the day I wrecked my bicycle and my head fell on these rocks. But you also have to remember, as that pounding pain is flooding through my head, I'm also very aware that my family absolutely doesn't care that I don't have a home, and I haven't had a home in over 500 days. I also have to be still young, not tired, ready for an adventure, curious and interested about anyone else I might be suddenly meeting because I need a place to stay. And sometimes, all the time, that might mean, being in the mood for romance. If I get carried away and taxed on my mind and my heart, I just have to accept what I cannot change, what I will want to. I have to believe in my dreams, and I have to put it in a place that's safe enough for me to continue to keep moving onward 24/7 all of the time. This was what my phone looked like in August, and I remember I was kidnapped in March. I survived that and walked back to West Virginia just to leave it, and then got a phone in Colorado when my tax return finally arrived and allowed me to do so. If this phone goes down, it better go down after I get a new one, which has to happen after I go to work enough times so that I can afford one and still get a home, just to get back what I already lost. I can never be too caught up in my surroundings if I'm stepping over another homeless person asleep on the ground, which I was in that picture. And never forget, I've already walked 73.6 miles just this month and a whole bunch of other months before it. Nobody really understands what it's like to tell the doctor, I can't get my flu shot and my COVID shot because I have to carry 75 pounds to wherever it is I find where to sleep tonight. Winter, rain, snow, shine, 0 degrees, below zero, it doesn't matter. Remember, everybody thinks you're lazy and you're never going home. I haven't been home since September 8th, 2022. I must keep going. Nobody except other homeless people like you are really able to understand no one else cares what you just survived. And remember, I have like less than $3 of food stamps till the 6th, and it's January 24th. Isn't there anyone you can call? Is what I remember the sheriff's deputies for Forsyth County saying when I slept outside West Forsyth. There sure isn't. So if something like this happens, you better put away the flashbacks of getting kidnapped, and you better have a plan to get your cell phone back that he also stole. There sure aren't any teddy bears at the homeless shelter. There's about 500 smelly, stinking, snoring, angry men, and you better put your head on the side of the ladder just to protect yourself while you're sleeping. I still don't really have any guarantee